This is Sergio with Fighter Path MMA. I'm really excited. I am joined by Michael Schiavello, who's the play-by-play commentator for ONE FC, among many other things. But I guess that's what we're speaking on today. So first things first, man. How are you doing?
Hey, Sergio. Thanks for having me on, mate. Good to be here.
Yeah, appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. So, man, the world right now is in a really weird predicament here with the pandemic and everything like that. So, how have you been the past couple of years with everything that's going on in the world?
Well, there's been a lot of changes to what we were used to beforehand, and still changes going on all the time. But we're adjusting. We're getting used to it, and I guess we're just going to try and look forward to a time where we can get back to some sort of normality. I think it's still going to be a while. I'm talking to you from Melbourne, Australia, where we're just at the tail end of yet another lockdown. But things are moving forward, and it's exciting to see that the world is starting to open up again. I'm watching the European Championships, which is, getting great crowds in at the football games over in Europe around various countries as well. So it's good to see the world slowly but surely starting to open back up.
In terms of, potentially having sports in Australia, is that something you can foresee happening anytime soon, whether it be MMA or soccer or any other sports?
Well, the sports are already full steam ahead in Australia. I mean, before this lockdown in Melbourne 2 weeks ago, we were getting, near capacity crowds to get at our football games. Currently, they're being played interstate at capacity audiences, 50, 60,000 people. So a lot of sports are still in full swings. But when cities particularly go into a lockdown, then the sports move interstate. But certainly it's not nationwide. It's only when one city gets locked down, the sports events either get postponed or they get moved interstate.
And then onto your career. I mean, you're still relatively young in terms of the role you have, but 30 years as a broadcaster, does that blow your mind that you've been doing this for 30 years?
It kind of does. I think more so when I read comments from people on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram saying, "Oh, Schiavello, I grew up with you." It's like that's a hard realization to accept sometimes, that this person was watching you commentate, K1 back in the early 2000s, was watching you on kickboxing in the mid 90s when they were 10 years old. And, now they're 30 years old and they're like, "I grew up with you." And that freaks me out a little bit, because it's like, wow, I'm 46 now and I don't think of myself as being older. And but I guess looking back, I've been around for a long time, because I started fight commentary in 1994. So yeah, it has been a long time, but I still bring that fervor, that energy, that passion that I always have ever since I was first broadcasting it as a 20-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I think a lot of people love about you is the passion you have for the sport. Where did you end up developing that passion for mixed martial arts?
It's just a natural passion. I've always had it for everything I've done in my life. When I've enjoyed something and committed to something, I'm very passionate about it, no matter what it is, whether it's doing something with my children, whether it's doing something for my home, whether it's writing a book, writing an article, whether it's commentating a fight event, hosting a TV show, whatever it may be. I tackle things with a lot of passion. And I think it's one of the reasons why I've gotten to where I have to. And I've been in the business for so long and so successfully, is because I have this passionate attitude. No matter what I've commentated over the years, from the Commonwealth Games to the Olympic Games to Ultima Lucha to Dynamite to K1, Dream, Sengoku, regional shows on Access TV, now ONE Championship, I've always brought that passion. And I think that as a commentator, if you're passionate about what you're calling, your audience is going to be passionate about it too. And that's not to say, to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. If it's a lackluster contest, call it as you see it. But, this is one of the most exciting sports in the world: mixed martial arts, Muay Thai, kickboxing. So how can you not get passionate about it? And if you're covering this sport and you're not passionate about it, you shouldn't be covering this sport.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, and it's one of those sports, like, I've been watching since, I don't know, I'm only 25, but I've been watching it since I was like 15, 16, 10 years. And every fight, I'm just as excited as I was that very first one. It never gets old. There's always something new. Do you agree with that? I mean, you've done this for 30 years. I'm sure you've seen, lots of knockouts, lots of submissions, but yet you still bring that same passion.
Well, I think that's the beauty of the job, Sergio, is that every time I go to work, I do not know what will happen. And I thank God every day because I'm truly blessed that I'm in a job where I've got the best seats in the house. I'm working with an amazing crew. I'm traveling around the world. I'm doing something I love. I'm getting the instant gratification of broadcasting to over 150 countries and responding to people on social media who are watching this on TV and enjoying it. And it's a very unique position. And every time I see something new, I mean, no two shows, no two fights, no two rounds are ever the same. So I go to a show in Singapore, I rock up, I don't know what I'm going to expect. And I'm seeing a story unfold before my eyes, and I'm the narrator of that story. And it's a great position to be in.
This past year, I mean, I'm over in Canada, so this past year for me was amazing because I feel like I've gotten exposed to one. I mean, I've watched clips and everything before, and I've watched fights, but it tended to be, months or a year later. It never was really at the time. This past year, one's done a great job of making sure that the North American market has access to these fights. Assess when you look back at 2020 and 2021, how do you assess it?
A lot of challenges that we had, but I think we overcame the challenges very well at One Championship, starting when the pandemic hit in, March, April of 2020, when things got really serious. And instead of shutting shop, we were the first sports organization, especially the first in Asia, but I'm pretty sure the first worldwide to try a closed door event. I believe we did it on February 18 or February 28, 2020. So right at the start of the pandemic. And it was a success, TV-wise, logistically, with the safety precautions we had in place as well. And after we did that at One Championship, we then saw every major sports organization in the world go on and do it themselves. NFL, NBA, NHL, EPL, Serie A, everyone did closed door events. Boxing, wrestling, of course, WWE. And we were the real litmus test for a lot of organizations worldwide who saw it and said, well, if one can do it to a global audience with the commentary, with the production, empty arena to over 150 countries, maybe we can do it too. So I was very proud to be involved in that. And I think that we're seeing tremendously high social media imprint over the last 12 to 18 months. We're the most, I think we're the fourth most watched sports media property on the planet, according to both Tubular data and to Nielsen, which is huge. So even during these lockdowns, so many people have been watching our product on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, where we are constantly putting content out there, more so than any other fight organization on the planet. And I'm proud to be a part of that too. We've done so many great shows, including the TNT series, which is a big boon for us, a history-making series, to doing the shows we did out of Thailand, the shows we've been doing out of Singapore. So I think we've handled this whole pandemic situation as a company, as an organization very well, and really tried to give our fans as much as we can during what's been a very challenging time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, one of the things that I think that the North American market got exposed to that we really maybe haven't seen is some kickboxing fights. Whether it was Jackie Buntain or Nikki Holskin, there were some kickboxing fights on those TNT events. Was that kind of the purpose of it as well? Just throwing a kickboxing fight on the card just to see how it would do.
Well, we've been putting kickboxing and Muay Thai fights in our cards since we launched One Super Series in 2018, I think it was 2019. So we've been doing them for a while, but for the American audience, we knew that kickboxing and Muay Thai is nowhere near mainstream over there, although they are the most exciting striking sports on the planet, particularly Muay Thai, which is why we wanted to put the most dynamic striker in the world, Rod Tung, on our card against Mini T, Daniel Williams, and he produced one of the greatest fights of that entire series. It was amazing. Jenna Todd on there as well, Wayne Parr, Nikki Holskin, as you said. So we put some of our real marquee guys and girls on those TNT shows to expose the US audience to One Super Series striking and let them know what it was about. So in the future, we can expose that market even more to these amazing strikers in Muay Thai and kickboxing that we have. And we really do have the best kickboxers and Muay Thai fighters on the planet are all signed to one Super Series. With the exception of a couple of guys, we really have got the best roster.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And there's one fighter on your MMA roster that I want to talk about. Being Canadian, I have to talk about it. Arjun Buehler. He went on and performed incredibly against Brandon Vera. Do you really feel like this guy could become a huge superstar, not only in Canada but also India? Just the fact that he's got that, I guess, dual citizenship, or he belongs to both countries.
I really do think so. The thing about Arjun has got so much going for him. He's a tremendous fighter. Got that Kushti background, that Indian wrestling background, a Commonwealth wrestling champion, the big mace over the shoulder. He's competed in the Indian Dangal events, and he's won them, and he's king of the Dangal over there in India in his younger days. And and that translates also to his Canadian citizenship as well. He flies both flags equally. Even Justin Trudeau, tweeting out on social media, that's massive. I mean, that just doesn't happen. I'm trying to rack my brain of times when a leader of a country has tweeted at any fighter. I know that Donald Trump maybe once or twice about UFC. I know he invited like Colby Covington to the White House, but for like Trudeau, I mean, it's unexpected. So to have those eyes on Arjun Buehler and his success, about defeating Brandon Vera, becoming the first Indian champion, also representing Canada. The marketability of Arjun, he talks well, he interviews great, he's got personality. He's a good-looking guy who can sit there for hours and do golden media interviews, and the media adores him. So I think that the future is unlimited for Arjun Buehler if he continues to train hard, continues to improve. I mean, he dominated Vera. Our heavyweight division is getting stacked every minute of the day. We are signing more and more guys. And really, there's some good heat competition that will keep Arjun Buehler very busy in his defense of that gold.
I want to talk about that as well, because you guys are doing some road to one cards all across the world. You have one in Spain. I feel like there's not enough Spanish talent in mixed martial arts in general on the bigger promotions, but also one in the US, one in Serbia. Is the point of that to kind of expand, or is it also to develop the roster as well?
Well, a couple of things. It's to expand the footprint of one championship. We are Asia's largest ever sports media property, but we're global. I mean, we're broadcast to over 150 countries, and we want to get an imprint more in a lot of countries where we're not as mainstream as we are in Asia, of course. So places like Europe, where we're going to do the Road to One series over there in Europe, countries like Serbia, that have great, kickboxing pedigree and martial arts pedigree. And those road to ones are also to look at guys that, are knocking at the door, but because they never fought for major organizations, they might not get a look in with our major scouts. So if they start at a more local level, we're doing feeder programs to then be signed to the big game, to be signed to the big dance, to one championship. They've got to start somewhere. We did it with the One Warrior series very successfully through Rich Franklin, went to various countries, mostly around Asia, and drafted a lot of people into one. Stamp Fairtex, Mark Abelardo, the list goes on. So we want to do the same with these Road to One series that we're doing in Europe. We've done some in Asia. We'll do some in various places to say, hey, what talent is out there? Especially in some of those Eastern Bloc countries in Europe. What talent is there that is undiscovered that we can pluck and turn into major stars?
Another European star is Reinier de Ridder. He's undefeated, double champion. I mean, this guy really has what it takes to become a global superstar. I think, especially being one of the few title holders from that region. What does it mean to have someone like that hold two titles and could potentially compete for a third if he really wanted to?
It's great, because first of all, Reinier de Ridder is a Dutchman that doesn't rely on kickboxing, which is rare in itself. He's a BJJ guy. You just don't see that from Holland. Always from Holland, Netherlands. The best fighters have always been kickboxing guys. Peter Ertz, Ernesto Hus, Remy Bajaski, Semi Schult, all K1 champions. And now with one Super Series, guys like Nicky Holtzken, all the Dutch guys. So to see a BJJ Dutch guy and be a two-division world champion and do so effectively, so dominantly over a great former champion in Ong Lan Sung was incredible. De Ridder, again, is a guy who's marketable. He gives great interviews. He doesn't mind playing, to use a wrestling term, the heel, to play the bad guy angle. He came and took the straps, and now he's calling out the heavyweight champion. He wants all the straps. He wants even the welterweight strap. He doesn't mind playing that role, and he does it so well. I see big things for Renier Derrida. I'm really glad to commentate his fights, and he just brings this smothering BJJ game that, to me, is very entertaining. It's very dynamic. It's really strong. It's vicious. I enjoy him, and I know a lot of people around the world do.
I want to ask a couple more questions, and then I'll let you go. There's a lot of fighters in one that have been brought over from other organizations, and they're not having the success that a lot of people thought they would. Adriano Moraes, Oak he just knocked out Eddie Alvarez. Do you think that these performances are really showing that there's really a lot of talent, not just in ONE FC, but in other parts of the world?
Undoubtedly. The thing is that, look, let's admit it. When most people worldwide think MMA, they think UFC. Even these days, when people ask, I meet someone new and they say, hey, what do you do for a job? And I say, I'm a sports commentator. What sport do you commentate? If I say one championship, because our footprint in Australia isn't very big, they're like, If I say I commentate UFC, people are like, oh, okay, I get it. Because UFC is what most people assume is the brand of sport that is MMA. Okay. So it's just the fact that most people are going to assume UFC is MMA, but they're thinking anytime you fight in a cage, it's mixed martial arts. They think it's all called UFC. But there are a lot of organizations outside the UFC and Bellator that have fantastic fighters. And we're seeing in one that, guys have come from UFC that have had a rough road. Eddie Alvarez, Demetrius Johnson, both have been knocked out in one championship. Yoshihiro Akiyama has come and has been beaten. Yushin Okami's come over and been beaten. James Nakashima, who came from undefeated at LFA over in the States, came and got beaten his last 2 times. A lot of guys have come and gotten beaten, and it just shows that if you take the blinkers off, there's a lot of good leagues, organizations out there. I compare it to soccer. I'm a huge soccer fan, football fan. If you just watch the English Premier League, you're seeing great soccer. You're seeing what a lot of people say is the Premier League, the best league of soccer on the planet. But then don't forget, the Italian Serie A has great football as well. That's where Cristiano Ronaldo, the best player on the planet, plays. That's where Romelu Lukaku, Lukaku plays, the Belgian star. And then you go to the Bundesliga, they've got great players. You go to the French La Liga, they've got great players. The Spanish League's got Lionel Messi and other great players. So you've got to look outside, having just blinkers on. I think that's more an American thing, to be honest with you. Americans are so blinkered on in a lot of things they do. They're not very worldly. They're very pigeonholed as a country. So most of that attitude comes from Americans. Whereas if you go outside America, especially you go to Europe and around Asia, people accept that, there's other sporting organizations outside what we are just used to locally or what our mainstream media is feeding us.
One of the things I love most about ONE, and it's every time I watch a ONE card, I'm more and more amazed by the production. Is that something that you guys pride yourselves in, and just being like one of the best in terms of production cards in all of sport, in my opinion?
Definitely, 100%. It's like the old, you see the posters behind me, the old K1 and Dynamite days, where production level was second to none. The thing is that we are a sports media property, and as a sports media property, we are entertainment based as well. Okay, no, it's not just all about the sport; it's all about a television product, because that's our main thing. We're broadcast to over 150 countries, and we're on terrestrial television in so many of those countries. So it's about an entertaining product, not only inside the circle, but the whole show. And I'll tell you, going to the production meetings at ONE, I've worked on the big organizations, K1, Dynamite, Sengoku, Dream. The attention paid to every minute detail in ONE is like nothing I've seen before. And I'm talking, you hear the stories of Vince McMahon in WWE, how he'll pay attention to every detail. If a light is off, a strobe light is off, if a commentator's wording is off, if a camera angle is slightly too low, Vince McMahon is on it. Well, Chatri Sichitong is the same with ONE. I mean, every little detail you can think of, he is watching. If he sees, a light is exposing half an empty chair in an arena of 15,000 people, he doesn't like it. You know, we have to fix that light. We have to fix that camera angle. And we have to fix the fireworks. We have to fix the giant screen, because it's all about production, a product that we can be proud to show off on TV worldwide, and also to the live audience in the stadium. Once you come to a one championship show and you're in one of those arenas, I'm telling you, there's nothing else like it.
I can't wait to attend one in person. It's unbelievable on TV, and I can only imagine what it's like in the arena. I know that your broadcasting days all started with a track event, a cross country event. You look at your career so far, 30 years, you've interviewed guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Fedor Emelianenko, all the guys in one as well. Is there one person that stands out? The late, great Diego Maradona as well. Is there one person where you're like, I can't believe I had the opportunity to speak with that person?
Quite a few. Pele, twice got to meet Pele, got to interview him when I was only 17 years old, and to interview one of the greats of all time was amazing. Maradona, to have met him, interviewed Maradona as well, was just an unforgettable moment. Making good interviews. I think the best one I ever did was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Still, a lot of people call that the greatest interview ever with any WWE star or any wrestler in history. And I'm super proud of that. And, Stone Cold was super proud of that as well. And I urge people, if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube, watch it. You'll be polarized for 52 minutes of the interview. Van Damme, a couple of times interviewing him, and hosting his Australian tour, his stage tour last year in March was fantastic as well. I've been really so fortunate to have met and interviewed so many people that I've enjoyed in sports and entertainment, and still do. It's one of the great pleasures of the job.
Well, thank you very, very much for the time. And like it was for you to interview those people, I'm honored to have been able to speak with you. I appreciate it. Been a fan for a while, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for you as well as one.
Sergio, thank you so much, mate, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody. Stay true to One Championship, and hope we get back to those bigger live crowds very, very soon.